Welcome to episode 34 of Generation Gap Book Reviews. I'm Christy the mom.
And I'm Lena the daughter.
And I'm Stella the cousin.
So you may be able to tell we have a guest on our podcast today, and that is Stella, which is Lena's cousin, my niece. And we are going to be talking about a book all three of us have read, and should be a fun discussion. The book is called Not If I Save You First by Allie Carter. And who wants to tell us how we all pretty much learned about this book?
Well, we kind of like learned about it because my mom hosts a book club at the library I go to, and I read that book because Mom thought I might like it, and Lena was already going to that book club, and then Lena recommended it to her mom, and so we all read it.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd say Lena recommended it to me so much as at that time I was reading all of the books she was reading for book club because we were kind of using them as school books. But and I only say that because I don't know if Lena would have recommended it to me.
I don't know. Apparently, I kind of liked it back then. But
To give kind of a brief overview of what this book is about, the main character her name is Maddie, and her dad is a Secret Service agent who protects the president of the United States. And her best friend at the beginning of this book is the president's son, whose name is Logan. And the book starts actually when they're, I think, 10 years old.
Yeah. That sounds familiar.
There is an attempt to kidnap the president's wife that is foiled. Maddie's dad is injured in the process, and then he decides to quit his job as a Secret Service agent so that he doesn't leave Maddie, whose mother is already gone, without a parent. And then they move to Alaska, as you do. And 6 years later, Logan has become quite the rebellious president's son, and he's sent to Alaska, natural progression there.
Yes.
To stay with Maddie and her dad because they live in the middle of nowhere. And I get this. It's meant to be sort of a roughing it, teaching him, stay off social media, living off the land, kind of trying to teach him how to just give him that chance. It's like get him away from their normal life and try to redirect their behavior. So that was the idea.
Stop them from embarrassing the family, because whatever he does gets reflected onto his dad, because his dad is super important. Everybody always is like paying attention to him. So also like getting them to stop embarrassing.
That's a very good point, because that actually did have a lot to do with it, didn't it?
Yep.
And that actually is part of the issue that Logan's having, is his dad is the president, super important, and he's kind of dwarfed by that. So he's acting out, I'm sure, to get attention, and the attention they give him is to send him away. But while Logan is in Alaska, he's attacked by an unknown assailant, and that's pretty much where the rest of the story comes in. So, Stella, what did you like about this book?
I kind of enjoyed hearing about Alaska and all the difficulties there, but also the pretty things, like how at some point they talked about how the snow was really pretty. Oh yeah, that was pretty much everything I liked about the book.
Okay, so Lena, do you have any thoughts of your own about that part?
I mean, honestly, I think my likes about it were pretty much the same. Alaska, it was interesting to hear about. And I think that's really it, too.
I would echo that. I think the author did an overall good job of writing about Alaska, because both of the times I think we've all read this book twice now, and both of the times I've read it have been in at least fall to late fall, and I get cold reading this book because all the snow talk and everything, and it's already kind of cold here, and it's the setting is fairly immersive. So that's good. Now, we're going to start talking about our dislikes, and we're going to split that into kind of areas so that we don't, let one person say everything before anybody else talks. So now we'll start with setting, because we talked about what we did like, and it was mostly related to setting. Does anybody have anything specifically relating to the setting that they actually didn't like?
It was like really close to Russia.
Do you want to explain what you mean by why you bring that up?
Because the Russians were the people who tried to get the president's wife or whatever, and to run away from them, they basically hid in the backyard over at the sea.
Yeah, that's a fair point. When when thinking about setting, for me, I would say that despite even though I said it was pretty immersive, there were still some things about the cold and about the setting that I felt they didn't do well. They were not smart about. Um, I don't know that Logan ever had gloves.
Oh,
I'm
Yeah,
not
I
sure
don't.
wait, that's
anybody
true.
ever had gloves. I don't think gloves were mentioned in the entire book pretty much. And like, how did nobody's hands fall off?
Oh man. I never thought about that. I mean, there were a bunch of things about like 50 layers, but not gloves.
Well, and that's the other thing. I did find it interesting that Maddie specifically talked about her layers, her base layer, and then the next layer, and the next layer, and the next layer, which makes sense living in Alaska. I could see that as something people do every day. And she
Mhm.
specifically also mentioned that when Logan went out the day that everything happened, and then he was out in the wilderness after that. He didn't. He said he probably didn't go out with as many layers, with a base layer and all the like the wet layer she had that
Mhm.
kept snow from soaking through. And yeah, he was cold during the adventure they had, but I don't think he ever got as cold as it seemed like he should have.
That's so true.
Yeah, they didn't really like talk about that. They kind of mentioned it and then forgot about it.
It was like it only really came up when the author really wanted to remind us of it in the plot, and in between that, it was fine. So moving on then, let's talk about the plot. Lena,
Hmm.
what did you dislike specifically about the plot?
It felt kind of dry and weird. Like pretty weak for I don't know. What's it supposed to be like mystery, thriller, suspense? I'm not really sure.
I
It
think it's meant
wasn't.
to be, yeah, thriller, suspense. Those are both really close and hand in hand. And mystery is generally involved in thriller, but thriller amps up the mystery, and I think it was supposed to be some kind of thriller.
Yeah, just nah.
That's what you got for us about plot? Meh.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I don't know. I mean, it wasn't like it was slow in some points, but it was also actually pretty quick. Like the pace was pretty quick as well. So go ahead, Stella.
For me, I feel like when I first started reading it, I felt like it was going to be something like really exciting and something that I was into. But then, like as I got more into it, it like became less and less of what I thought it was going to be, and just kind of turned out like cringy. And I was like,
Mm.
what is going on? Because like you read the back and you're like, oh my word, this sounds so interesting. But then you like open it and you're like, it's kind of like what the back said, but like not really. I feel like it had more potential to be something like bigger and maybe more complex, but it wasn't really.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that, especially since see the main, especially thriller part of the plot is really at the very beginning and the very end. Because okay, so Logan gets attacked by somebody after he gets to Alaska, and there's the all of the trying to get away from him, trying to outsmart him or whatever, but that's not really plot. That's some action, but it's not really plot. Nothing was moving forward.
Mhm.
Everything really happened in the climax and at the end once you get past at least the opening, which was 10 or 6 years in the past. And so yeah, that's I think that middle, just the time trying to get away from the guy that attacked Logan, it's just nothing. I mean, not nothing, but it feels like nothing. It feels empty. And for me at least, when you get to the rest of the plot, like when the actual motivations behind what's going on and who's involved in everything finally comes out in the last third or so of the book, it was weak. It just did not make, to
Mhm.
me, it did not feel like real motivations that like anyone alive would ever have. Which tends to make me think that the author really just wanted to be able to write the relationship and needed a vehicle for the relationship, so she sort of cobbled together this plot that just didn't really make any sense.
I feel like one thing is if the author had worked what happened in the beginning into the middle or like kind of like maybe spread it more out, it might have been a bit better. But that's just because like the beginning was so good, and I was like, oh my goodness, and I got hooked. But then I continued. I was like, oh, this is nothing like the beginning of the book.
That's a really good point. If she had maybe used it as flashbacks throughout, so you didn't know why they were in the middle of Alaska or why he wasn't even a Secret Service agent anymore, any of that. You could have seen that come into play more like as flashbacks as Maddie and Logan are thinking back on what happened before. Yeah, that I could see that making a better pace for the story instead of just tromping through the Alaskan wilderness for 100 pages.
That's fair.
Okay, so Stella,
Yes.
what did you think of Maddie?
At first, like, I don't know, I kind of like saw her as not like just one girl, but it felt like she had like two different personalities that just didn't go together. Like, at first I thought she'd be like super cool, but I was also kind of okay with her being all girly girly type of thing. But when they tried to put those two together, I was so confused and I just ended up not enjoying her as much as like if they had like maybe done a little less of either of the personalities, it would have turned out a lot better. But putting them together, I did not like that.
I couldn't put it into words, but that's like exactly how I felt about her, I think.
Okay, I can totally see that, Stella, because like I feel like putting those two together, they tried to make it more like Carter tried to make it seem like, like there's like not like other girls kind of trope. And those tropes are
Mhm.
really weird. Her personality was pretty weird.
Yeah, she's in the middle of Alaska, and I get if you're a girly person, being in the middle of Alaska, you still want to try to be girly. But first of all, she was 10 when she moved to Alaska. I'm
Yeah.
not really sure that translates to she continues to be like as she gets to become a teen, becomes a teenager, she's still really, really girly. And second of all, she struggles to they live in the not just in Alaska. I mean, there are cities in Alaska, or at least large towns. I don't really know much about the population of Juneau or Anchorage, but they don't even live. They live somewhere that I mean, they live in the middle of nowhere in Alaska. Her dad has to basically fly in and out and bring supplies that way. But she still makes sure she gets her fashion magazines and nail
Nice.
polish. And oh, let's talk about the bedazzled axe for a moment.
Oh no.
That
Like
was so
which
bad.
is on the back of the book. She has a bedazzled hatchet, which I guess means we should go into this knowing it's going to be ridiculous. But
Like, are we supposed to be proud of the fact that she has a bedazzled hatchet?
I mean, are we supposed to think because like Stella said, not only she's girly, but she's also cool. And by this point, at least 6 years later, she's been living in Alaska for 6 years. She is, she's wily and she's got the wilderness survival skills. So what does she do? She takes her favorite throwing axe and puts a bunch of plastic gems on the handle, which pretty much makes it impossible to use anymore.
And also, like, it's just her and her dad. So how is she, like, usually with that type of thing, she'd become like following her father's footsteps, but somehow she just like clutches on and just hangs on for like dear life. I'm like, how? If I were you, by then I would be like doing like know all this crazy stuff, and I would not be bedazzling an axe. I don't think
Yeah,
I'd do
for
that for
real.
anyone.
When her dad goes to town and she's got on the shopping list bedazzling jewels, does he say, "Yeah, sure, yeah, we'll definitely get you some of that."
That's so true.
I think the bedazzled axe is like the perfect symbol for what Carter was going for, the girly girl who is wily in the Alaskan wilderness, but also what didn't work in that those two things together just don't make sense.
Mm,
So, Lena, what did you think about Logan?
yeah.
Did not, and I don't mean your dad.
Uh, yeah, that's the weird thing about this book is that I don't know if like how easy it is to read a book with the male main character being his name being Logan because it's so weird to me. But anyway, also it's just like I feel like he was just cliche rebellious, and it just felt forced. Plus, he's like I don't know how to put into words what I'm thinking right now, but it's just really awkward. His personality,
Okay, like it
like
didn't. Do you feel like he was kind of like two people too?
maybe, but like also just like the fact that really quickly after he was in Alaska, he like clung dearly to Maddie, even though they were not friends for that long, and then for 6 years they never saw each other.
Yeah, he went from disobeying the Secret Service people, disobeying his parents when he was rebellious and what made him get sent here, to super protective and caring.
Yeah.
Now, granted, we're talking about a girl his own age as opposed to his parents and the Secret Service people, but it doesn't seem like a dichotomy that makes a lot of sense in one person. What about you, Stella? What do you think of Logan?
I kind of liked him like at first, But then I also was getting really confused because he was like sending a lot of mixed signals. Like he was just like, oh yeah, I'm doing this, but then suddenly he's over here doing something really good, and he's like, nope, I'm bad again. And he's really good, and then he's just really good for the rest of the entire book. And I'm also confused because when they were children, they were like best friends. He comes here and immediately he's like, oh, I like you. Let's be girlfriend and boyfriend. It's not like, oh my goodness, my friend who I haven't seen in forever. Oh my goodness, I have so much to talk to you about. It's just like romance.
Yeah.
It was really awkward, yeah, because for us it's just a few pages, but we go from, yeah, they were 10 years old and they were best friends, to now they're 16 years old and he's obsessed with her lips.
That was so weird. I read that and I was just like, Mom, what is he doing to her lips? Why are they so fascinating to him? Ew.
Which lip is his favorite?
Which one was his favorite was like the most important thing in that moment. I get what she's going for. Not my idea of romantic.
Like a lot of it was him trying to decide, oh, what's my favorite part of, I don't know, her fingers. He was just like, what is my favorite part of her body? I don't know. I need to do it because it must be so important. Because I'm already planning our wedding.
It was like, as he's like looking at her lips, he's like, suddenly, I have to figure out which one is my favorite. Wow.
And I was like, I'm gonna slap you right now because you're being so stupid. Who thinks that?
Oh,
So
Logan does.
let's track the progression here, because I kind of glossed over this in the synopsis, but it's not a spoiler to talk about the progression of their relationship. Lena touched on this a little bit earlier. When they knew at the beginning of the book, they're 10 years old and they've known each other for no more than a year. We don't know exactly how long, but we know it's been less than a year. And I actually found some spots to verify that I was right about this. They only met when his dad became president, and he hadn't even been president for a year yet when the story started. Yet they're best friends. Okay, I can see becoming best friends with someone in that amount of time. But that to me doesn't mean they should be so close that after 6 years, now this is the part that wasn't mentioned before in the synopsis, 6 years go by when Maddie is writing to Logan often, at least for the first few years. Well, I don't remember how long she wrote to him, but she wrote to him often and he never responded once. And so for 6 years, there was no contact between them. And yet, so less than a year of friendship, 6 years of silence. And then when they see each other again, Logan is super protective of her, angry when he thinks that she's been injured like badly, like he's like ready to lash out at the attacker. At one point later, he was literally telling a bad guy, "Don't even look at her. Don't even look at her." And I'm just like, "Holy cow." Like the connection between them that like kind of cropped up or whatever when he first got to Alaska was just way too strong for how little they could possibly know each other at this point. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I also feel like they should be like very different now, but Maddie didn't really change much, and apparently neither did Logan. Because I mean, the only way that they would even have a little bit of connection is if they were still practically the same person as like their 10-year-old selves, like still practically personalities all the same and stuff. Which maybe is why she left her being really girly, so that she'd connect with Logan again, maybe? I just find it really weird.
Well, plus we didn't really see any of her being girly in that first, when they were 10 years old. I don't think she was wearing a dress, but she was going to a party. They would have made her wear a dress if she was a tomboy. I don't really remember anything, so there is discussion and him saying something like, "Oh yeah, I guess you are still like that." And I'm like, "Oh, you knew she was like that before?" Okay, I didn't. And let's not I guess this is really more back to what we thought about Maddie, but the more her letters went on, so the beginning of every chapter, at least for most of the book, every chapter starts with one of Maddie's letters, and they generally progress from she's just gotten to Alaska to she's starting to be frustrated that he's not writing back to she's not even sending them to him anymore, but she's still writing to him because she doesn't have anybody else to talk to. And she gets not just unhappy and even mean, she gets like petty and snotty in her letters. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my gosh, you're just kind of like a really like Yeah, she just gets so childish and immature the further along she gets in her letters, and I guess I get it, but it just makes me look at her like she's just not a great main character to me, I guess.
Yeah, don't blame you.
I almost kind of wish that one of the Russians was the main character, like just to see how that would be, or like he was kind of a side character, but we could see what he was thinking, because that would have been kind of interesting and added like spice to the story or something, and it also would have like, I don't know, it kind of made sense why like they were doing what they were doing, but I kind of wish it was more like they added more reasons for why they were doing all this stuff, because I kind of was like, that makes sense, but you seem like you're going really, really far.
Yeah.
That would be interesting because the book goes back and forth between Logan's and Maddie's POV, and I could see this being a book that would have been made better by the POV of the main Russian assailant that we mentioned that attacks Logan in this book that they're trying to get away from, because some of what happens with his character arc, when you get more of the truth, you don't go, oh well, that really that really affects how I think or whatever. Instead, you go, really? That's what's been
Uh-huh.
going on, and that's what you've been doing about it. I mean, it just, and I do wonder if we knew some of the information that we didn't get till the end, for at least halfway through the book or so, if it might actually affect how out of left field some of the stuff at the end seemed.
Yeah. If it actually explained, we might actually be like more like following along and actually being more understanding and stuff. But they just like it kind of popped it on us, and we're like, "What? Are you nuts? You're insane!"
Yeah, yeah. Because so much of the it wasn't even like you get dribs and drabs. Like a lot of books, you get some of motivation as you go, and this one it really didn't come until pretty much the very end. And to me, at least, that was kind of too little, too late for it to be part of the story. It felt like it was out of nowhere at the end. Yeah. And going back to the romance, we kind of flowed into that from talking about the characters, but I was very frustrated by some of the ways that the author tried to infuse the romance, because it all felt so shallow. And like starting off with the fact that Maddie's dad knows Logan's coming. He springs it on Maddie, which is a kind of not a very nice thing to do, but Logan comes to this place where they're very, very small house. If you could even, I really think at some point they even said it's not really a house, it's more like a shack. And they don't really have a regular bathroom. They take showers in the kitchen. So Logan comes, and he's not even given even a brief orientation of this house. It is not even until the next morning that he finds out where the bathroom is. So apparently from the time that he landed in his helicopter till the next morning, he never had to go to the bathroom.
That like it is like, I just can't believe that he didn't ask or anything. But like after, like, I at first was a little confused for that too, until I actually read why the author did it, and then I was like, that's you start a romance? What is wrong with you?
Right? Yes.
Like, that's the weirdest way. If that was like how I first like met a boyfriend or whatever, I feel like every single time I saw him, I'd be like, hi, let's never talk about that ever again. Got it?
Exactly.
Right? Because in this house with a teenage boy and a teenage girl, the dad, at the very least, should have made sure that he told Logan, when the curtain is drawn across this room or whatever, someone is in there not clothed. Don't go in. And yet, no, he just flies off in his plane and leaves them alone, and then allows Logan to walk in on Maddie. Why? I don't know if it's supposed to be funny or romantic, but either way, I'm not buying it.
It was so bad.
And this is all still early in the book.
Mad. I was also mad at Maddie, because I'm like, girl, like, you should at least, like, if I had like a stranger or
Practically a stranger, yeah.
I would like go over and be like, okay, I'm about to go take a bath. Do not go in the kitchen. I would like warn them so that I didn't get barged in on.
Right. That's a good point too.
I'm kidding.
Does anybody else have any other thoughts in general?
It's a book.
I kind of wanted to see like more of the ending, because like the middle wasn't satisfying enough, and then the end was where I was like getting into it more, and then it just stopped, and I was kind of mad because I wanted to see at least it go a little farther, at least see like how they were gonna behave after all that stuff, how like their lives were gonna be. But it was like, nope, that's the end. Goodbye.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and I also remember thinking that Maddie, her dad was a Secret Service agent. Now, that we don't know how long he was or what he did before Logan's dad became president, but I assume that wasn't his first detail or he would not have been protecting the president. But up till 10 years old. Then she moves out into the middle of nowhere for 6 years. And somehow that all gives her the right personality that when she's confronted with a bad guy, she keeps her cool. She's never she quips, she mocks him. She's so cool in the face of danger. I mean, that's the thing is like she's girly, she's wise about the Alaskan wilderness, which makes sense after living there for 6 years, and she's also really cool in the face of danger. Like, and I don't just mean bears, I mean bad guy with a gun. And it's just, I mean, so where's the flaws in this character? I mean, she's maybe a little too perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Lena, I still remember
Yes.
when I read over my review that I originally wrote, I said that my teenage daughter was currently reading it and was telling me she was on the edge of her seat.
Oh, wow.
So apparently at some point during it you were still really into it, but it sounds like that's not actually that unusual that that both of you kind of have at some point expressed that at least partway in the book you were still into it and still excited to see what was going to happen.
Yeah.
It just went
Yeah.
bad then.
Because like it kind of was interesting at first, and like wanting to see how it ended to see if it got better and stuff. But also like at first it was kind of mysterious, but like once you read it over and you knew everything, it wasn't like a book you would want to read again. It was like a book you'd read one time and that was it. Because without the stuff that you didn't know, it wasn't very interesting.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, so if no one else has any other specific thoughts to bring up, let's go with Stella. What out of 5 stars? How many stars would you rate this book?
So probably just 1 star, just because, I mean, maybe 1.5 because I enjoyed it at first. But like, if I were to, like, after I read through it again, I'm definitely like, I probably had a rating at some point. It might have been like maybe 3 until I read it again, and then I bumped it down a whole lot.
Okay, and Lena?
Yeah, I wrote 2 stars because the setting was justifiable.
And it's
Yeah.
it's actually it's interesting because since I'll rate books on websites online that you can't give it less than 0 stars or less than 1 star. I mean, if you give it 0 stars, it's basically just that you're not even giving it a rating, and that doesn't factor into how the overall rating looks. So 1 star for me usually means like the worst you can get. I gave it 1.5 stars, and that half star was, like Stella said, it was really about the setting and the wilderness and the interesting tidbits about Alaska. Like something about not all brown bears are grizzly bears, but all black bears are not. I don't remember. There was something about bears that I remember. It had stuck in my mind,
Yeah.
but now I've forgotten it.
Oh, man. Now you will never survive in Alaska.
It only had to do with the color of bear's fur, but sure.
Yeah.
Now we talk about recommendations. So, Stella, is there anybody you would recommend this book to?
Probably I might recommend it to like friends, but only because I would want to see what their reaction was, and only because it's kind of good in the beginning. But I'd probably recommend it to like friends that, I don't know, maybe I know better so that I don't think I'm offending them with the book. Here,
Yeah, I worry all the time.
Here, read this book I hate. I hate you too.
I only give it to you because I despise you.
I want you to suffer.
Like I did. All right, Lena, what about you?
I mean, I guess if some people like this kind of romance, sure, have at it. Eat it up. I don't care.
So what would you say then?
But-
If you like what kind of romance you might like this book, what would you say?
Well, what kind of romance is it? It's more physical than like actually having like
Emotions?
an emotional attachment to the other person. Yes.
If you enjoy empty, shallow romance, you might like this book, is what you're saying?
Yeah. If people like to have no meat on their romance, yeah.
And what about age, Lena? Because you always go for the age.
Oh, the age, 13 and up.
Yeah. How young is too young to be hearing so much detail about lips?
Well, Stella, how old were you?
That's a good question because her mom recommended it to her.
Yeah, what, like 11?
Maybe? I think she only recommended it to me because she knew that I liked romance stuff, and then I read this, and I was like, I hope there are better romance books out there. I want romance.
This is the romance book you get?
That's funny to me that, yeah, if we're right and Lena was 13, then that would make Stella around 11. And yeah, at 11, even you could tell this was not good romance. So that tells you something.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say I wouldn't recommend it to anybody. Even for the part about the Alaskan wilderness, I am sure there are better books for that.
Oh, definitely.
I mean,
Hatchet was
yeah, I
better
was
with
just gonna
survival.
say, I was just gonna say Hatchet. There's no romance in Hatchet, but
Oh, man.
well, thank you for joining us, Stella. This was a lot of fun. Maybe we'll try to figure out some other book we can do this again with sometime in the future.
And maybe it'll be a better book.
I was gonna say maybe it's one we all
Yeah,
actually like.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me.
And thank you, Stella, for joining us.
Okay, goodbye.
All right.
Bye,
Bye.
Stella.
Join us next time when we are going to be reviewing The Lost Lieutenant by Erica Vetsch.
Until next time, I'm Christy.
And I'm Lena.
And this is
Generation Gap Book Reviews.